Hi, my name is Noel Ainsworth, and today I'll be reviewing whether we're meeting consumers' expectations for fruit quality. In this presentation, I'll be covering why we investigated fruit quality with the industry, how we did it, what we found, and then what impact we achieved with our industry collaborators. In the retail monitoring done between 2008 and 2014, about half of the damage found was rots and discoloration, and the other half was bruises. This avocado supply chain feedback project is focused on reducing the rots and discoloration. We sampled fruit from consignments between ripener and the DC before the bruising occurs at retail. This reduces the risk of confusing rots with bruises during the fruit ripe assessment. The efforts to reduce bruises are a focus of the AV 19003 retail monitoring, due to the fact that most damage is caused by customers in the retail store. In both projects, we record the damage once the fruit ripens to that soft to medium ripe stage. Improved fruit quality was one of the 4 key outcomes in the 2017 to 2021 Avocado Strategic Investment Plan. The activities in the Avocado Supply Chain Feedback Project have been designed to track quality trends against the 90% industry target, to quantify the variability in quality by source, identify the root causes of poor quality, share information on quality trends, sources and causes, and to improve practices in the lowest performance areas. Since the start of 2019, the project team has been collecting data from 40 supply chains each year, 8 from each of the 5 districts in North Queensland, Central Queensland, Central New South Wales, Tri-State and Western Australia that direct fruit to Sydney and Melbourne. This includes collecting data about management practices used by each of the chain partners, including the growers, temperature management through the chain, and the resultant fruit quality when the fruit reaches the soft ripe stage. Project staff then compare data with that data already collected by businesses in the supply chains, identifying areas for improvement and training. On the basis of the 3 years of sampling, the average results is that 89% of fruit are meeting consumer expectations, just below that red dotted line being the 90% industry standard. I would not suggest that there is either an upward or downward trend at this point in time, but there's certainly some variation year to year. Here you can see some variation in performance between the 5 production districts monitored over the 3 seasons of monitoring when compared against the industry standard, that red dotted line, which shows the quality required for consumer satisfaction and repeat purchase behaviour. That is, 90% of fruit with less than 5% of rots. Most production districts have delivered quality at or above the standard. Fruit quality over the past 7 months has included some lower and more variable quality due to rainfall, floods and some missed sprays in those production districts. It should also be noted that there is also no particular trend up or down over the 3 years of monitoring, so the industry should not get complacent just yet on its fruit quality. And just to note that the West Australian monitoring just contains results for those supply chains monitored to date and is yet to be completed. Looking now at individual consignments, since the start of the project, you can see that only 24 of the 105 supply chains, or 23% of those checked to date, have failed to meet that quality standard, which offers us an opportunity to target our efforts at those with poor performance. As a result, we undertook tracebacks of those consignments with performance below the 90% industry standard, and looking at the most likely practices or conditions that might have impacted on the fruit in that batch. There were several risk factors that influenced the development of anthracnose body rot, stem end rot, and flesh discoloration. To manage these risk factors, there are a number of practices that growers and those in the supply chain use to reduce the risk. The practices that have come up most regularly in these tracebacks of poor performing consignments were spray programs and coverage, post-harvest treatments, nutrition, and fruit age. We also established firmness standards for the 5 Hass and Shepherd ripeness categories based on the measurements using Tironi and baristerometers. Unsurprisingly, there were quite large spray diary differences, nutrition management differences between the production districts. We also found that fruit maturity was not linked closely with how quickly fruit ripened, a bit of a surprise. We also found that the temperature of fruit when it departed the pack shed was on average 10 degrees Celsius across suppliers, which is frankly too warm, and it should be closer to 6 or 7, especially if fruit are entering into a congested market or destined for export. And by assessing samples of fruit stored for an extra 14 days prior to ripening, we identified big differences between the supplier's fruit robustness to be able to withstand these longer supply chains. It's also important to recognise that this work is not just about research, collecting data. It's about providing detailed reports back to pack sheds and running regional workshops with the collaborators. We have also been updating growers via the Avocado Regional Forum presentations, videos and fact sheets, also Tracebacks to investigate poor quality, and providing reviews of the best practice resource with Avocados Australia, and developing case studies of improved practices and putting articles into the Talking Avocados magazine. It's also about compiling an industry dataset and making that de-identified dataset available to anyone who's interested. We are also specifically targeting wholesalers and ripeners using webinars and face-to-face workshops. Also important is that we're seeing that this data collection is driving practice change, including changes to spray programs and equipment, changes to post-harvest fungicides and their application, changes to fertilizer programs, also changes to the monitoring of supply chains, especially focusing in on those pack shed departure temperatures, and even the assessing and feedback information on fruit quality that reaches the consumer is of more importance to some of our clients. In closing, I would like to acknowledge the project team, funding from Hort Innovation, including grower levies and funding from the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries, as well as the support from the project partners identified here. Thank you.